1746, the city of Edinburgh lay wrapped in its eternal shroud of grey. The rain had ceased, but the stones still glistened with the memory of storms. And through the curling smoke rising from the taverns, one could sense that the city itself was holding its breath. For peace had been declared, but no one believed it. The Jacobite rebellion had ended in blood at Culloden Moor. Men were hunted, names erased, families broken, and above the narrow winds and closes, the great castle of Edinburgh loomed like a sentinel of silence. Its towers, once proud, were now prisons for whispers and regret. It was there, within those walls of shadow, that a secret began to stir. A secret born not of war, but of love, betrayal, and the kind of truth that could destroy empires. Among the few who still served within the castle was a man named Lord Alistair MacLeod. He was not yet 40, but his eyes had already seen too many ghosts. His loyalty to the crown was unquestioned, or so it seemed. Yet deep within, a part of him still bled for Scotland's lost cause. Each morning, he would walk the ramparts and look down at the city below, the smoky rooftops, the silent spires, the winding streets where once the clans had marched in defiance. Now, all that remained was silence and memory. But one storm-struck night, something changed. A courier arrived, breathless and pale, carrying news from the castle's archives. A document had been stolen. They called it the Post-Culloden Pact, a written promise sealed in the aftermath of the rebellion. A list of noble names who had bartered their loyalty for survival. And among those names was one that would shatter Alistair's heart, his father's. For days, Alistair searched. The corridors of the castle whispered treachery. Torches flickered, as if the walls themselves were uneasy. Rumour spread quickly through the streets. The thief was a woman, seen only by candlelight, her cloak trailing through the rain. Some said she was a spy, others a ghost of the Jacobite dead. But in truth, she was something far more dangerous, a keeper of truth. Her name was Eleanor Kerr, though few dared speak it. And though years had passed since she had vanished from Edinburgh, Alistair knew the name too well. Once she had been the love he was forbidden to have, a love buried under duty, silence, and the smoke of war. Now, it seemed, the past had returned, not to forgive, but to reveal. The people of Edinburgh went about their days, unaware that beneath their feet, in the labyrinth of tunnels and catacombs under St. Giles's Cathedral, a fire was quietly being lit. Those tunnels had once hidden Jacobite rebels, priests, spies, poets who had refused to kneel. Now they hid a secret that could unravel the fragile peace of the nation. And while soldiers scoured the city for the missing document, Alistair followed the trail that led into the earth itself, into the catacombs of memory. He descended into darkness armed not with weapons, but with questions. Why had the woman he once loved stolen the pact? And what truth was she willing to die to protect? Above ground, the rain fell heavier. The castle bells tolled as though warning the city of a sin not yet confessed. Within the tunnels, time seemed to stop. There, by the dim glow of a single candle, the stolen pages lay upon the stone. They were old, yet deadly. Words that named traitors, words that could ignite rebellion anew. And though no one saw her face again, the people swore that the woman in the velvet cloak was seen leaving the cathedral with tears upon her cheeks, tears that glowed like fire in the mist. By dawn, the Crown's investigator had arrived. A man called James Drummond, loyal, relentless, and feared. He swore to recover the document and punish its thief, though his own past was tangled with secrets. He too had once stood with the rebels. Now he served those who had crushed them. And so began a silent chase through the fog. 3 souls bound by loyalty, love, and guilt. As night returned to the city, the wind carried the scent of rain and smoke from the castle's chimneys. The streets emptied. The air grew still, heavy, expectant. Somewhere below, the last page of the Pact touched a flame. They say that night, a fire rose briefly from beneath the old cathedral, seen only by those awake enough to witness it. A sudden flare of orange against the grey sky, a ghostly sign that truth itself had taken light. And then, silence. By morning, the Pact was gone. Burned, they said. Lost forever. But Edinburgh is not a city that forgets. Its stones remember. Its walls keep secrets long after their keepers are dust. Weeks passed. Drummond vanished. Some claimed he fled to London, carrying a false report. Others whispered that he, too, had been swallowed by the tunnels. Lord Alistair was relieved of duty, stripped of his command, a loyal servant cast aside by the very empire he had chosen over his heart. He left the castle one final morning, his footsteps echoing through the mist. The guards did not speak to him. They merely watched as he crossed the drawbridge and disappeared into the fog beyond the city gates. No one knows where he went. Some say he joined the smugglers on the northern coast. Others that he built a house near the locks where he lived out his days in solitude. But one truth remains. Outside Edinburgh, by a quiet churchyard where the mist lingers longest, there stands a stone without a name. Only the letters EK carved deep into the weathered surface, and beneath them a single phrase: truth burns brighter than lies. Even now, when fog curls around the castle walls, locals say they can hear faint whispers rising from the stones. A woman's voice, soft as rain, and a man's footsteps fading into the night. Some call it legend, others call it history written in shadows. But in Edinburgh, the difference between the two has always been thin as mist. For this city was built on secrets, on the bones of its martyrs, the words of its poets, and the silences of those who dared to love against the world's command. And so, when the storm returns and the castle bells toll at midnight, the old story is told again, of the pact that burned beneath the earth, of the lovers who defied a crown, and of a truth that refused to die. For in the heart of every nation lies a secret, and in every secret a heartbeat still echoing through time.